going on, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. This is your daily dose of USC Trojans news. Friday night, about 5:45, kickoff between the USC Trojans and the Purdue Boilermakers coming up at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So, what is that, 18 hours or so or less from kickoff? Getting close. So I wanted to jump on here quickly. We did somewhat of a preview on our call-in show on Wednesday. Again, Wednesday, 7 p.m. live call-in show. Make sure to join USC LAFB YouTube channel. Bring your calls. It's a caller-driven show. Would love to see you there. But want to jump on here, give a little quick preview, kind of expectations of what I have for this game. USC left today. I know there's been some chatter about travel, if the schedule would change. The one big change was the type of airplane that USC will be using. Instead of the standard 737 Boeing, they're going on an Airbus something, or rather, that's above my knowledge of aeronautics or whatever, but it's a bigger plane with more legroom that will hopefully help the players on these long flights, plus changing little sleeping patterns a little bit when they go to bed. So they left this morning. They should, I believe, have arrived in West Lafayette around like 5:30 Eastern time. So obviously that's 2:30 here Pacific time. So we'll see if what the change in that pattern, if it has any effect, or if they decide as the season goes on, like I know a lot of fans want, if they'll end up leaving a day earlier. Lincoln Riley said last year, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on it, last year that they consulted with specifically the Rams and the Chargers, both, obviously two NFL teams here in LA, and a lot of NFL teams travel the day before. It's the way they've always done it. And so they kind of went after that model. Like, for instance, the Rams are playing a 10 a.m. game in Nashville on Sunday. They're going to leave on Saturday. Like, they're still in LA right now as of this recording. So they're kind of following that NFL model day before. Obviously, last year, you can say it didn't work. The bodies are different. These are, younger 18, 19, 20, 20-year-old kids versus 26, 27, 28-year-old adults. But that's above me. That's, I'm not into sleep studies and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see how this game goes. But before we get into the game, quickly, let's talk about our new friends over at Sleeper. Hopefully, you guys have caught on to this by now. New sponsor. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it for, fantasy leagues, whether you're in dynasty leagues or whatever. I'm in like 3 different fantasy leagues. But this year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, as well as all of the extra offers that they have. Live stats, so real-time updates and visualization on all stats. A news feed, get lightning-fast updates. If you don't want to, be on Twitter or have Twitter updates, Sleeper's got you covered. Real-time chat, so you can engage with other users on the platform during games. So download the #1 sports app today to experience it for yourself. When you download it and you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB, all one word, USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit bonus up to $100. So if you deposit $100, you're going to get $100 free to play with. You put in $10, you'll get $10 free to play with. So either way, you'll double your deposit up to $100. And the thing that you can use that for that is the most fun is the daily pick'em. You pick 2 to 8 players across any league, and you're just picking more or less. So Jade Mayava, more or less, 250 yards in this game. I haven't looked at his, they usually probably updated his stat line now, actually, which maybe I'll take a look at some point before the end of the show. But yeah, it's great. So Sleeper, download it, use the promo code USCLAFB. All right, as we all know, Purdue is a improved team this year, I think. They haven't played a tough schedule similar to USC. They sit at 2-0 after beating the likes of Ball State and Southern Illinois. So, how improved are they is the question that we will see kind of tomorrow. I do think they are a better program than they were last year, hence why they brought in a whole new coaching staff, gave the keys to Barry Odom, who did a nice job building up UNLV. He obviously hired Josh Henson, USC's former offensive line coach, to make his offensive coordinator. So I do think they're an improved program, but it's a brand new coaching staff. They have like 80 or so new players on the roster, so just complete rebuild in West Lafayette. So they're going to have some growing pains. USC is the better football team. I mean, that's not trying to sound cocky or unfair. USC should win this game handily. As I said on my last video talking about the AP poll about, hey, maybe these odds makers should be the one in charge of rankings because they're no bias, no BS. They're just going to put out lines who they think are the best teams. USC is a 20.5 point favorite on the road. Now, it's a road game in the Big Ten. You can always expect something to go wrong in those type of games. There will probably be at some point some adversity for USC to overcome, and so that's what I'm excited to see is how they overcome that. When we saw last year that adversity in Minnesota, in Maryland, in Washington, like they couldn't overcome it. The wheels started falling off. They had leads in all those games, and then adversity struck, and the wheels came off, and we know they lost all of them. So I don't expect that to happen. I didn't expect it to happen last year either, but this is a much better football team than it was last year. This is a much deeper football team than it was last year. But how does this team react when it is struck with adversity? You know, you hope there's no adversity, and this is just an easy cruise to victory type of win. But seemingly on the road, conference play, something will happen. When you look at Purdue, improved passing game for sure. I've heard a lot of people are like, oh, are they going to be able to slow down this passing game led by Ryan Brown at the quarterback position? And they have Michael Jackson, formerly of USC. I believe he was at Georgia last year and now at Purdue. Had a 70 yards and a touchdown in the first game. So it is an improved passing unit for sure. I don't think it's as, I want to say this like that. It's improved from last year for sure. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a problem. Again, you look at their competition, and everyone will say, well, yeah, look at USC's competition. But look what USC did to that competition, right? Like Jaden Mayava has 707 yards passing, no interceptions. Ryan Brown, last week, in week one looked fantastic. 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week against Southern Illinois, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So a little bit coming back down to earth against a Southern Illinois Salukis. That's their mascot team. So it's a better, improved passing unit. We'll see what Josh Henson, has up his sleeve as the OC going up against a defense that he was not involved with, but was here when they installed it with Danton Lynn. But I don't think it shouldn't be something that we should be worried about going to the game, if that makes sense. This passing defense has shown some cracks. We've talked about that kind of throughout the season so far through 2 weeks. The secondary, I don't think, has been quite as strong as we hoped with the talent and the depth. And obviously, when you have injuries to Prophet Brown, that hurts. Alex Graham, obviously it hurts because of how good of a fall camp he is, but he wasn't one heading into the year that we were expecting to be a starter. That was like a bright surprise of how good he was as a true freshman in fall camp. He's still probably, we haven't heard, Lincoln Riley in our call yesterday said he's going to wait till the 2 hours before the game is when they release injury updates. So he had been giving us updates in our weekly call and decided this week he'll wait till they announce it before the game. But based on what I've heard and practice, I don't think Alex Graham will be available for this one either. So, those injuries hurt, but this is a good enough unit. This is a deep enough unit that I think there's still a really strong defensive back room. Coach Lynn said this week after practice that been a huge rotation through the first 2 weeks, as we all saw, as we talked about. That will lessen now going into Big Ten play. We're still going to see a rotation because it is a deep group. It's not like they're just going to play 4 or 5 guys 70 plays or whatever, how many plays they end up going on defense. There will be a rotation. I said before the season, I could see an 8-9-man rotation between, if they're going nickel with 5 guys on the field, I could see 9 guys playing. That was obviously before the Brown and the Graham injury, but I still think we see a solid 7 to 8 guys out there. But we won't see the entire bevy of secondary players. So it seems like to me, well, this is just the obvious. The coaches have said it. DeCarlos Nicholson is your most prepared, best, locked outside corner. I think it feels like Braylon Conley right now is kind of seizing that other starting job. Chasen Johnson will play plenty. DJ Harvey, we'll see if he improves. He's struggled a bit through 2 weeks, obviously learning a brand new system, coming from San Jose State, which, is a program playing in the Mountain West. So maybe the competition but we'll see. I still have high hopes for DJ Harvey, and it's not like he's been terrible. So I still think we'll see him out there. And then everyone knows that, Kamari Ramsey has slid down to that slot, which I think a lot of people don't like. I'm okay with it just because I think Kamari Ramsey is probably the best player on the field. And so when you can use him in that flexible role, that works, and having Christian Pierce and Bishop Fitzgerald in the back. Now, if you can get a guy like Alex Graham back or another one of these corners that you feel comfortable in the nickel, Kamari Ramsey's probably best for this defense as a true safety. So I'm not saying that. I agree with that. But if he's your best nickel, then put him at nickel. Like, if he's better than the other options, I'd like him there, because I do, although Fitzgerald's had a couple miscommunications, I do still trust Fitzgerald and Pierce on the back end. So, to me, Kamari Ramsey, put him wherever he's needed because he's the best player on defense. So, when everyone's out there saying, like, I hate that he's a nickel, he should be back, yes, but if you don't have anyone better to play nickel, you want your best player there. So, if the drop-off from Ramsey to, say, Kevin Longstreet is pretty great, which we think it kind of is based on what we've seen, then you need to play Kamari Ramsey at nickel and trust in Pierce and Fitzgerald on the back end. So I say all this I think we'll see this unit play their best football this week. Purdue will obviously be a better passing attack than what they've seen so far, but I think the communication will be better. I think they'll be more locked in, and we just won't see that huge rotation. We'll see some rotation, a couple guys here and there, but it won't be, 10, 11, 12 guys all getting playing time. So the unit I'm most interested in, and I'm already probably getting more long-winded than I originally planned, but Purdue's rushing attack, I think, is one that hasn't been getting as much love. Against Southern Illinois, Devin Mockabee ran the ball. He had 32 carries. That is, rare for a single running back to get 30-plus carries. It's not rare for, a team to run the ball 30-plus times, but that's usually split with different backs. He, by himself, had 32 carries, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, he only averaged 3.9 yards per carry. So, not hugely efficient. Now, obviously, on 3 downs, that is a first down if you can keep that 3.9 every clip. So, I want to see how this defensive line, how this linebacking room of Desmond Stevens, excuse me, again, still fighting this, and Eric Gentry really can shut down this run, because we've seen glimpses of it, but we've also seen too many gash running plays. We haven't seen the egregious runs like last year and specifically 2 years ago, back when Alex Grinch was the coordinator, where a guy would just house it for 60 yards. But we've seen in 2 weeks against this inferior competition probably too many times for our liking these 8, 10, 15-yard runs between the tackles. So this is a good week to see how this defensive line and linebacking room can shut down a team that clearly wants to run the rock. When you look at, they ran it 40-plus times total as a team last week. Again, competition kind of dictates that a little bit, but it's going to be a task for this front seven to show us for the first time that they're ready to pop the pads and knock back this running game of Purdue. Offensively, for USC, Purdue, Barry Odom, I think, is a great defensive mind. Seeing what he built across his coaching career, and specifically at UNLV. Coach Riley talked about it in his press conference yesterday about the respect he has for Odom and a rising, rising star in the coaching realm, head coach, but also just as a defensive mind. But I just don't think they have the players right now to keep up with this USC offense. So I don't think this offense is going to necessarily score 59, 65, 73 points. But they should have their way if they don't beat themselves. If Jaden Maiava plays a clean game like he has the first 2 weeks, if the offensive line keeps Maiava clean in the pocket, opens those running lanes up for this great running back duo or trio if Brian Jackson's back and healthy, I think they should score 40-plus points. And this USC team should cover pretty handedly, or cover easily, if you will. So, we'll see Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane. Obviously, I think there's no Big Ten team, I think, that can cover them for an entire game. So the big thing is how this offensive line giving Jade Maiava enough time, and how Maiava reads these defenses and goes through his progressions to get the correct player the rock. So I like the offense's odds on this, and we'll see who starts at that right guard position. Obviously, Alani Noa started week 1. Micah Banuelos started week 2. Lincoln Riley told us that was an inside-the-walls decision. So not going to speculate. I've talked about it on the Call-In Show. I've written about it on LFBnetwork.com. But we do know that this team was still searching for the best 5 going forward into Big Ten play. So make sure to keep it right here. I'll be on all day. I'm going to be writing and we're going to be recording. But, as soon as we hear the starting lineup, if it's Banuelos, if it's Noah, we'll be the ones to tell you. Now, don't want anyone to panic. There is some chatter that Tobias Raymond got a little banged up during practice, and he may not go for this game. Again, Lincoln Riley didn't answer, so we don't know. I don't want to speculate on that or whatnot. But I would say certainly, just based on what we've heard, he is questionable going this game. Now, I've seen some chatter that he was limited in practice, more of a precaution, but we'll see what that really relates to. If he is out, I'm going to be really curious to see if they kick then Micah Banuelos back to left guard, where he was playing a lot of fall camp, and then Alani Noa start at right guard again. So that is the benefit of having some of these swing interior guys and outerior, Tobias Raymond being able to play both, is that you do have that versatility. The other option is Jean-Ray Reed, obviously, who they brought over, who we all thought was going to be the starting center, and Killian O'Connor beat him out for that job. Lincoln Riley brought him up yesterday, not when coming to injuries, but just specifically as a guy who's played very well, has continued to improve through the fall and into the season, and will have an impact on this team. I'm not quoting, but paraphrasing his words of saying that Jean-Ray Reed will have some kind of impact. Could that be tomorrow? And having him play at the guard spot while Killian O'Connor plays center. We'll see. I think if I'm like a betting man, I feel like Tobias Raymond will be good to go, and then we'll see what happens at right guard between Noah and Banuelos. If he's not, I think Banuelos will be left guard, Alani Noa at right guard. So that is probably the biggest storyline in this, is what your starting 5 looks like, how well they play together, how clean they keep that pocket for Maiava. But as long as they play even a decent game, this offense should be fine getting things going. So, score prediction. Like I said, USC is a 20.5-point favorite. I think they cover. I think USC wins 45-17. I think Purdue, will get some points, but I do think this defense improves, and maybe it lets everyone kind of exhale a little bit. I don't know. Maybe people would be unsatisfied with 17 points against Purdue, but I think they'll show enough to be like, okay, this is an improved unit. It's going to get better and better. And maybe that last touchdown will come with some backups in later in the game. We'll see. But I think USC should handle this game pretty well. The biggest thing will be if adversity strikes and being on the road, how do they respond? And what does the starting 5 look like on the offensive line, whether it's injury-induced or just decision-making about the starting 5 moving forward. So that's how I got it. How do you guys see it? Comment below. Let me know. I'll be on all day tomorrow. Can't wait to cover this game. 12:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. We will be live right here on the USC LAFB YouTube channel. Tim, perhaps the Madman, perhaps Coach. So it could be 4 of us, could be 2 of us, at minimum 2 of us, be live right when the game ends, taking your calls, taking your thoughts. Hopefully after a big win, there's a lot of excitement. But if there's any struggles, I'm sure there'll be a lot of concerns and a lot of different kind of phone calls coming. But we want you guys to call in and make this show partially yours. That's what we're trying to build here at LAFB, creating community through content. That's always been my motto with LAFB and our mission statement. So we're trying to just continue stacking bricks in doing that. So thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us out. If you want to do more to help support, you can become a member right here on YouTube, or you can go over to LAFBnetwork.com, become a member there. That gives you access to all of our LA sports coverage, special events, merchandise discounts, and no matter where you become a member, YouTube or LAFB, 20% of your monthly membership will be donated to help youth sports initiatives right here in Los Angeles. We're trying to just help our community out, help build up our youth, and in my opinion, one of the best ways to do that is through sports. So every month that you're a member, 20% of that membership is going to go to help do that. One of those initiatives we're helping is LA Best, which our own Anthony Beavers at USC was a part of, has promoted, has given back to that community. So you can help support that as well by becoming a member with LAFB, and you get a bunch of other perks too. And you just help support LAFB, which is extremely grateful. So everyone have a blast. Enjoy the game. Can't wait to talk to you all throughout the day. Thank you as always for making this show and me a part of your day. As always, fight on.